All right, go ahead and start the recording. Hey, we're on. Good, thank you.
You tap it and mute it on the app itself. If you just
All right, as soon as I have an audio connection with everyone, we'll get started.
connect to audio, join audio.
Okay, well, I had one and then lost it.
That feedback?
Okay,
Oh.
very good. We are back on the record in the matter of Fagan versus Fagan. Mr. Hilderly, I wasn't able to get the videos to play on my computer, but my court officer was able to get his to play, and two of the videos were the same. The video quality is actually very good. One is of the little girl saying she doesn't want to go back to mama's house. The other was of the little boy complaining about not being able to watch YouTube. I didn't get the third one, so Mr. Hilderly, if you could try resending that one, but send it directly to pveldkamp@mijackson.org. pveldkamp@mijackson.org. And I'll watch that when we get a break.
Okay, thanks, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Fleming, I think it's time for you to put on your case.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I intend to call my client first, but I thought that we should also have her grandmother. I don't know if she's in the waiting room.
I let everybody in, and she's not in, and she's not in the waiting room.
Alexis, did she log in, or is she just going to come use your?
Yeah, she was logged in, but when the meeting stops, she might need more help. How I can check and see.
Or maybe when you're done testifying, maybe we can just have her come.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, Your Honor, I would call the defendant mother, Alexis Fagan.
Ms. Fagan, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
Please state your full name for the record.
Alexis Page Fagan.
Go ahead, Ms. Fleming.
Thank you. Alexis, can you tell the court how old you are?
27.
And you and Jake have been married since when?
Since 2016.
And when you and Jake married, did you already, were you already parents to your son, Corbin?
Yes.
When was he born?
January 5th, 2015.
And you also have a daughter, Millie?
Correct.
And when was she born?
April 1st, 2017.
Okay. So this present divorce action is actually the third divorce filing during your marriage since 2016. And the first was filed where?
In Jackson.
And who filed?
Jake did.
Okay. And then you later reconciled?
Correct.
And who filed the second filing?
I filed the second time.
And that was in Ingham County?
Correct.
And where were you residing then?
I was living in Stockbridge with my dad and the children.
And then that case was also dismissed?
Yes.
And then who filed the present action?
Jake did.
And then when did you and Jake begin your relationship?
January 8th of 2014.
Okay, and how would you describe that relationship?
The relationship with Jake and I, when we were good, Jake and I were really good. We got along great, but when Jake and I did not get along, it was very toxic. There was a lot of arguing and not seeing eye to eye on a lot of important things for couples.
So I know there's been a lot of it. Could you briefly describe for the court what caused the breakdown of your marriage?
The biggest issue for Jake and I was always money. After I had Corbin, I stayed home 10 months with him until we could no longer financially support it. I went to work for Elena's daycare, where the children had started to attend. Corbin was our only kid at the time. Then shortly after that, I went back to CVS Pharmacy until I found out I was pregnant with Millie. Shortly after that, I had stopped working there. I'd become too sick. And then when I was 30 weeks pregnant, I went and got a job at Neuro Restorative, which is a rehabilitation center for people who have been in car accidents. I worked there 2 days until I gave birth to Millie, also while going to school full time. And then I went back to work for the same place when Millie was 3 months old. And then shortly after, just in August, right after our domestic, I stopped working there. So we had the, and that was kind of our breaking point then.
August of
2019.
Okay. So,
All right, I did not catch what exactly she said was her breaking point. I heard her say that, but just before that was a little garbled, so I'm not quite sure what she was referring to.
The domestic in June, Jake was arrested. The domestic happened in June, but he wasn't arrested until a few months later. I believe it was in August when he was arrested. And that was our breaking point.
Thank you.
so your husband testified last week that the reason for the breakdown in your marriage was that you were unfaithful to him. Is that true?
Yes.
So at what point during these various filings did you physically separate when the divorce actions were filed?
Yes, we've both seen other people after we'd filed for divorce, but after our domestic, I believe I was seeing somebody else, so we hadn't filed for divorce yet. I had briefly seen somebody.
So that was in what time frame?
Of 2000.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Of 2019.
So last summer?
Yes.
Okay. And so it was, and Mr. Fagan filed in September of 2019?
Yeah, September 8th or September 9th.
Okay. So we'll come back to the domestic. So let's address the non-child issues first. Is it your understanding that all the personal property between you and Mr. Fagan has been divided?
Yes.
Okay. the car that you drive, is that titled in your name?
It is.
It's titled in your name. And is there anything owed
Yep.
on that?
No,
Okay. And do you and Mr. Fagan own any real estate together?
no, we do not.
Do either of you have any retirement benefits?
No, I don't believe he does either.
Okay. You, as far as any debts, is there a debt that you would ask that the court or divide or address?
Yes, the Verizon bill.
So we have, do you have that there in front of you? Defendant's Exhibit S?
Yes, let me pull it up. Mm.
So do you have it?
I don't have S, I'm looking for it. I believe you emailed it to me.
Okay, so it's been admitted with the court. So did you provide this bill to me?
Yes, I did.
And it's in the amount of $2,718.82.
Yes,
And can you tell the court what that amount, and it's in your name, is that correct?
correct. Yes, it is.
Is it just in your name?
Yes, Jake had already owed Verizon an amount, so we weren't able to put phone service in his name. So when we moved to Stockbridge, the phone Jake had would not get any service. So I had gone to Verizon and got us both new phones. We got the same one. They were on a buy one, get one half off. And then we also bought a tablet for the children to share.
So this amount, $2,718.82, what does that bill represent?
The bill is for the phones and the tablet. I had gone into Verizon and asked them what I could do with the other line. I didn't want to cancel it out. I knew that it would be expensive earning or leaving the lease early. They said that if I brought the phone back in, I could turn it in for another tablet or a home security system, or there was something you could plug into the car. I don't remember what they call it. I had asked Jake for the phone back, and he had told me no, that he was using it for evidence for court. So now that has gone into collections. This is on my credit. And that was the final bill.
So that bill, does it just represent Jake's phone, or is there more included in that bill?
No, it's his phone, which is $1,250. My phone was the half off one, so it's $750. The tablet, I don't recall the exact amount from that. I am locked out of the account, so I can't get in to look at everything. But when I spoke to someone on Verizon, they were going to mail me a final copy, but that's all they could do is mail it.
So this bill is for the two phones and the tablet.
Correct.
And did you ask Jake to return the phone?
Yes, multiple times.
Okay, and did we also ask his former attorney for return of the phone?
Yes, we did.
So what is it that you're asking the court to do relative to this debt of $2,718.82?
I would like his half of the responsibility for it. I could have, if I got the phone back, I could have turned it in and still had this plan active, and it wouldn't have hurt my credit.
Okay. So you said you and Jake have 2 children together. Oh, I guess, I'm sorry, let's back up. We might as well go through his exhibits because he's asking regarding debts. Do you have the plaintiff's exhibits?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So exhibit number 1, Jake's City of Jackson income tax for the tax year of 2015. Were you and Jake married in 2015?
No, we weren't.
Do you feel you have any responsibility for his tax bill in 2015?
No, I do not.
Okay, so his tax bill for 2017. So you filed a joint return for 2017?
Correct.
And in 2017, was he working at Modern Waste?
He was.
And you were working at where were you working?
I was working for Neuro Restorative in Ann Arbor.
Okay, so why do you believe that there's City of Jackson tax owed?
Their taxes are due because there wasn't the full amount of taxes being taken out of his checks. I had city tax being taken out of my checks every time that I worked. So this is what's left over that hasn't been paid.
Okay, so do you have your tax return there?
Yeah, I can pull it up, yeah.
Well, so do you recall, I mean, who made more money that year?
Oh, no, yeah, Jake did.
Okay, that was 2017, so Millie was born that year.
She was.
So how much of the year did you work?
I worked roughly the end of January until the end of March, and then I went back sometime in July and worked until sometime later in that year, the end of the year.
Okay. So what would you like the court to do regarding the balance from 2017 of $729.59?
I think Jake should be the one paying this. I had city taxes being taken out of my checks. I paid in my part. He didn't.
Okay, there's also then, as part of Exhibit 1, the bill from 2016. And when in 2016 did you get married?
October 8th.
That year you worked for CVS and for Elena's Playhouse,
Correct.
and he was still working at Modern Waste?
Yes, he was.
And was his address listed as his mother's address, not in the city?
Yes.
So the bill for that year is $668.07. What would you like the court to do relative to that bill?
I think this bill is still on Jake to pay. I was still having city taxes taken out of my check for my part.
Okay. Plaintiff's Exhibit 2 was the consumer's bill from the house in Horton. I'm sorry, on Horton Street in Jackson.
Yes.
Okay. So Jake testified that this is for the last 3 months he was there. So if he was there until September of 2019, so the last 3 months. So in 2019, where did you live?
About the end of February, I moved in with my dad in Stockbridge until our house was done. And for weekend, we moved in to 220 Hill Street, and that's where me and the kids have been ever since.
I'm sorry, in what date approximately was that?
I believe it was April 21st. It was when we moved in. It was the weekend of Easter of 2018.
Okay, so let's back up. Can you briefly tell us how it was that you came to live in the house in Stockbridge?
Yes. My grandparents had bought and built 23 houses. My family's electrician, so they were very familiar with buying houses that needed to be fixed up and turning them in. My sister had already had a house. My brother had already had a house. Jake and I had been looking for about 2 years. I have a friend that is a realtor. She was helping us. We looked all over in Jackson, Grass Lake, Manchester. We looked in Chelsea, found a house in Stockbridge. My aunt, uncle, and Jake and I had all gone to the open house. We liked it. We made plans right there for things that we could do to remodel. We debated taking down the wall and such like that. My grandma was in Florida at the time, so my aunt and uncle were the ones helping us find for $122,000, and it was cash. And then that's where we lived after it was finished.
Okay, so who bought the house?
My grandmother did.
Okay, and is the house still in her name?
Yes, it is.
And when was it that you bought the house?
It was December of 2018.
Okay, so the house itself was in your grandmother's name. Was there consumers? Yes. Was there consumers at the new house?
Yes, as soon as the old tenants moved out, I immediately put the bill for consumers in my name because Jake had already had the bill in his name for Jackson.
Okay.
So I had consumers turned on number.
Okay, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's my internet or your internet.
Yeah, I had the consumers turned on in my name in December whenever the old tenants moved out of the house and we got possession of it.
Okay, and because what was going on at the new house in Stockbridge?
We had needed to have power to work on it because it was in the middle of the winter. So, and Jake had consumers on in his name in Jackson.
So you were paying the bill for the Stockbridge house?
Yes.
Okay, and then so you moved out of the house in Jackson in February of 19?
Yes.
Okay, and because when was the divorce action in Ingham County filed?
I believe it was sometime in March. I didn't file right away. Didn't want to go through the money hassle until we were sure that we were going to divorce, and then I filed sometime in March.
So did you ever go back and live in the house in Jackson?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
So do you feel that you're responsible for the consumer's bill for the last 3 months that?
No.
There. Okay. Exhibit 3, plaintiff's exhibit 3. Jake testified that this was a loan, it's a name and he's a co-signer.
Correct.
Okay, what was the loan for?
The loan was for our insurance. We had originally we've always had Progressive at a place here in Stockbridge. During our 6-month period, we've always paid 6 months at a time. During that 6-month period, Jake had got roughly 5 tickets just for like speeding and seatbelts, things of that nature. And our insurance had skyrocketed to about $2,400. So we didn't have any other way to get it to pay it. Jake's truck, since there's a lien on it, he has to have insurance and it has to be full coverage. So I had no choice but to go and get a loan out to pay for the insurance for our vehicles.
Okay. And he's a co-signer.
Yes.
And have you been making payments on this loan?
Yes, I have to make payments or by the 25th of each month or they freeze my bank account. So this is up to date. This is current. I pay on it every month.
And do you intend to continue to do so?
Yes.
And you are willing to be fully responsible for the balance owing?
Yep.
Okay. There was also Plaintiff's Exhibit 4 from University of Michigan. To your knowledge, is there anything owing for Corbin's care back in 2017?
That I am not aware of.
So since we brought it up, Corbin, the incident for Corbin, can you tell the court when was it?
It was around Memorial Day, if I recall
Was
correctly.
it Memorial Day or Labor Day?
Or Labor Day, I'm sorry. It was around Labor Day, yes, of 2017.
So he would have been how old?
He would have almost been 3. He would have been 3 in January.
Okay. And so where was he?
We were at my grandma's house here in
Okay.
Stockbridge.
And where were you?
I was mowing grass for my grandma at her rental properties.
Okay. And where was Jake?
Jake, somewhere with his brother Brandon. I don't remember where they were though.
Okay. So where was Corbin and what happened?
Corbin was also here with me at my grandma's, and so was Millie. When I'd come back from mowing grass, my grandma has rentals just all around her property here. When I'd come back, I'd noticed Corbin was super excited. Didn't think anything of it. He loves the lawnmower. He loves to mow grass. When I pulled the lawnmower back to the barn, he was doing the crab walk. And I was like, well, that's strange. I've never seen him do that before. And as I approached him, I could tell his eyes were very dilated. He was grinding his teeth, and immediately I knew something was wrong with him. My aunt and uncle live across the street. I had gone over there and was just crying and upset. My aunt and uncle rushed us to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Mott's Children's Hospital. We assumed Corbin maybe got into something in the garage, some kind of chemicals, some fertilizer, something of that nature. We weren't sure. And after they had done testing on Corbin, they had found that he had amphetamines and methamphetamines in his system. And as soon as I said that, I thought like my sister, she had been going to the methadone clinic. She was a former heroin addict for a few years and had been going to the methadone clinic. So I assumed that Corbin had gotten into some of her take-home dose. It was never confirmed nor denied by my sister. We didn't talk. CPS was involved. They drug tested Jake and I. We came back clean, and they closed the CPS case.
So what do you think happened?
I believe I had seen that there was a water bottle that my sister had where she had put some lemonade mix powder into it and was drinking it, and she had wrote her name on it or something to that effect. I remember she wrote on it, and she sat it on the kitchen island. And what I believe probably happened is that the kids were outside playing. Corbin came in, seen, the lemonade bottle there and had drank it. And then I believe she was putting her methadone in there and then just drinking it that way.
Okay. So, and what's your sister's name?
Elizabeth.
So, so you and Jake were together at that point?
Yeah.
Okay, and CPS was involved and closed the case.
Yes.
So have you ever, what's your intention regarding your sister and your children? Are they around her? Do you let her care for them? What's your position?
My sister has just recently moved back. There's not trust built back up yet. It's been a rocky relationship. My children absolutely do not get left alone with her. Really, the only time we see her is if she's at my grandma's or it's like a holiday event or something like that. We don't see her.
Would you ever leave them in her care?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
So, Ms. Fleming, I may have missed this. Was Corbin tested?
At the hospital, yes. The results came back that he had amphetamines and methamphetamines in his system.
What does that have to do with methadone?
At the hospital, they told us that it was either amphetamines or methamphetamines. So I'm not sure that's what they told us at the hospital, is that they thought it was her methadone.
But you and Jake tested.
Yeah, no, Jake and I came back clean.
Okay. And did CPS come to your home?
Yes, they did.
Okay. And did they interview your children?
They just came to see the living conditions, checked on Corbin, made sure, our house was clean, we had food, and then he left and closed the case.
And that was that?
Yes.
Okay. I guess back to their exhibits. This escape vehicle, is that titled in your name?
No, it's titled to my grandma.
Okay. And okay. To whom do your children look to for guidance?
I would say they do me. I can't speak for whenever they're at Jake's, but I would hope Jake as well.
Okay. What about discipline?
Yes, they look to me for discipline as well.
Okay. So can you describe how you discipline your children?
Millie hardly ever has to get disciplined. But with Corbin, he gets to stand in the corner until he can tell me, what he's done wrong or, why he's upset. And then recently we've been dealing with the issues of him saying dumb and stupid and hate. And after that, he's had soap in his mouth one time and he hasn't said it again since.
So did you recently have occasion to discuss with Jake discipline for Corbin?
Yes, we discussed it last Wednesday.
During our
parent exchange.
Okay. And what was said during that conversation?
As we were putting the kids in his truck, I had said to him, hey, I think it's a good idea for us to get on the same page as far as disciplining. When Corbin was in trouble, he had called for his dad, and I said, would you like to call him? I'm sure he wouldn't be happy with the way you're acting. And he said no. And then I had explained that to Jake, that he's, you know, kind of feeling like he can pin us against each other. And I didn't like that idea. And I wanted to nip it in the bud right away. So I had said to Jake that I've been having Corbin stand in the corner in his room until he can come out and he's calm and he can talk to me and tell me what he did and why he's sorry. And then also with the soap, I told him that Corbin had said that he hated me that day and that I put soap in his mouth and that Corbin did not like that. Jake in return told me that he just smacks Corbin in his fucking mouth and sends him to his room.
Those were Jake's words
Those were Jake's exact words.
last week.
Yes.
Okay. Who provides the children with the necessities of life?
I do.
Okay.
Or my family has helped recently since I've been unemployed. They've been helping a lot too.
Okay. And parental comfort. Do the children come to you for comfort?
Absolutely.
Okay. How do you and the children show love and affection to each other?
Lots of hugging and kissing. They like to be in mommy's room all the time and always hanging out with mom.
Okay. And how would you describe the bond between you and the children?
The bond with me and my children is amazing.
Who potty trained your children?
With Corbin, it was mostly me since I was home, but Jake helped by getting Corbin to go pee. At first, they like to pee outside, so that was the beginning. So that was helpful for
You live in
Corbin,
the
but
country?
with Millie, yes.
Okay.
And then with Millie, she was potty trained after Jake and I were separated during the roughly 5 or 6 weeks that he didn't see them. Millie, I potty trained her then so she could go to daycare.
Okay. And has there been any issues with Millie's toileting accidents lately?
Yeah, just up until recently, Millie's been having a lot of accidents, 3-4 times a day. She just pees her pants.
Okay. Have you taken her to the doctor? Have you checked into that?
Yes, I took Millie to the doctor a few months ago to make sure there wasn't a UTI or yeast infection. They checked her. They said no, it came back clean. I explained to the doctor that Jake and I were going through a divorce and the kids' schedule has changed dramatically and they've been going through a lot. And she said she believes that this is stress now because Millie, all while I was working, Millie had to be potty trained, that there was separate rooms. So Millie actually was in the room with the older kids because she was already potty trained before the other children accidents, never any issues.
Okay. What activities do you do with the children?
Just the kids and I, they love to ride their bikes. We live, in a smaller street, so they get to ride all around. They love to water the flowers for my grandpa and other relatives that are down there. We ride our bikes to the ice cream shop, to the park. I live next to 2 parks in town. We love to go there. Over at my grandma's, there's 4-wheelers and side-by-sides and scooters, and my aunt and uncle are across the street. Corbin and Millie both love to be over there and playing with their dogs. We're always doing something. We've gone to the lake, out on the boat, tons of stuff.
Okay. And So are you currently employed?
I'm currently not employed, no.
Okay, most recently, how were you employed?
I was working as an assistant teacher for a learning center. It's called KinderCare, and that was in Dexter.
Okay, is that where Millie went with you?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, and why are you not working currently?
With COVID, I had stopped working. And then on June 8th, they resumed and I did not go back. I am now in school full time. So I'm doing hybrid. We go 2 days a week and then the other 2 days are online.
Okay, so you're in school for what?
For medical insurance and billing coding.
And through what school?
That's Ross Medical in Brighton.
Okay, and so what is your hope and plan to do with that certificate?
I would like to be able to work at home. That's one of the reasons I looked into this job, is it's a lot easier to work from home. So that way I can be there with the kids and still attend school events and field trips and stuff like that.
Okay, so when you were, so in the fall, what will, or what's currently your schooling schedule right now?
So Stockbridge just voted on it last week.
No, wait, no, I'm talking about not Stockbridge, talking about you.
Oh, for me?
Yes.
So like, what's my plan with the children when I'm in school?
No, well, what's your, when are you in school right now?
Oh, right now, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Monday and Tuesdays online.
Okay,
I missed the first part of that.
Monday and Tuesday is at home, and Wednesday and Thursday is in class.
so you go to Brighton on Wednesday and Thursday?
Yes.
And what hours do you go to Brighton?
It's roughly 9 to like 2 or 2:30.
Okay. And if you need assistance with childcare on your time for parenting, what are you doing now during the summer?
Right now, my grandma watches them, or my aunt and uncle do.
Okay. And so are you able to provide for your children food and clothing
Yes.
and medical care?
Yes,
So if the children need to go to the doctor, who takes them?
I do.
Okay. And you said you were off work this spring due to COVID. Did you receive unemployment?
I received 8 weeks worth. Yes.
Okay, from the state and from federal?
I did the pandemic one. So yeah, I only got 8 weeks worth.
Okay. Have you had occasion to send food to Jake's house for him and the children?
Yes, on Thursdays, the school would send home with Corbin like a little meal kit. It would have like ramen noodles. There would be oatmeal, like a can of raviolis, some macaroni, fruit. They would put like canned fruit in there, some kind of little snacks, and that was always in Corbin's bag. So Jake always took that home. And then besides that, I bought groceries for Jake's house on 3 separate occasions.
Okay. Who provides or tends to the children's hygiene needs?
I do.
Okay. Did you ever have any concerns with the kids when they returned from Jake's?
Yes, many times.
Okay. Did you keep track?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have that handy?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, I mean, how many times would you say that you had concerns, and what specifically were those concerns?
The concerns I was having is that when the kids were being brought back at 7:30 on Sundays, their bedtime was 8 o'clock, and they were coming back dirty. They would smell. Their teeth had not been brushed. It seemed like in days you could see plaque build up on their teeth. So after I was getting them back from Jake, I would then have to take them back home, getting home about 8 o'clock. And then I would have to bathe them before they could go to bed. And sometimes they still hadn't eaten with him yet either.
Okay, so do you also have concern with parenting time exchanges happening so late on a school night?
Yes, Jake's never on time ever. So it was more like 7:45 that I would be getting the kids back.
Okay, so what would be your proposal for time to end parenting time on a school night?
I've asked for 5 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Who also gets their prescriptions if they're sick?
I had picked up, Corbin and Millie had both gotten sick the fall of last year. Corbin had a sinus infection, and about a week, maybe a week and a half later, Millie was diagnosed with influenza B. So they had both been on antibiotics for that.
Okay, and so you got the antibiotics?
Yes, I did.
And so did you send those with the children when they went to see their dad?
Yes, Corbin was able to go back to school. I believe it was just 24 hours later after he had the medicine in his system. So I put it in his backpack along with Millie's, and I texted him and let him know when they needed the dose next and such.
And did the medicine come back with the kids?
No, when I got the kids back, Jake did not return the medicine. Well, he forgot Corbin's backpack, so the medicine was inside that. So Corbin and Millie missed the rest of their dose for the next 2 days. I was, and I texted him that he had the backpack with the meds in it.
Okay. So where do you live right now?
I live at 220 Hill Street in Stockbridge.
Okay, and who lives there?
Just me and the children.
And how long have you resided in that home?
Since April of 2019.
Okay, and do you plan to stay there?
Yes.
Okay, so when you and Jake picked that house out and your grandma bought it, what was the plan with her? What was the financial plan?
The plan originally was kind of like a rent to own basis. My grandma had paid the first year's insurance and property taxes on the house. So after a year, we were going to pay my grandma $800 a month. And at the end of that year, she was going to give it back to us to put towards the house as a down payment. And then she was going to switch the loan to our name. Like we had to go and get a loan together. So it was more of a year to build up our credit even better and get ourselves back on our feet.
So was there ever talk of you entering into a land contract?
Yes, my grandma had come over one night to talk about it, let us know that was the plan. She'd had it drawn up from her lawyer. She showed us the paperwork. And then Jake moved out shortly after that.
So did you ever sign a land contract?
No, we didn't.
So the house, describe how many rooms, how many bedrooms, bathrooms?
There are 4 bedrooms total. 3 of them are upstairs. So it's my room, Corbin's room, Millie's room. There is 2.5 baths. One of the bedrooms is downstairs. The basement is partially refinished. So there's a bedroom down there that is fully finished. There's a fenced in backyard where Corbin and Millie have their play set. And then it's I believe a garage and a half attached to the house as well.
Okay. And how far is it from your house to the elementary school?
It's just 2 blocks. Sometimes we walk. It would take us 10 minutes to get to the school if we were walking or riding the bikes.
Okay. And how far away is your grandmother's home?
Roughly a mile.
And you said your aunt and uncle also live there in Stockbridge?
Yes, they do. They're kidney corner from my grandma's house across the street.
So if you're not able to get the children from or to school, are they able to assist you?
Yes, Corbin has rode the bus to school and from school to my grandma's house, and then I'm here to pick him up. Sometimes he likes to ride the bus, so we have to come to my grandma's to do that because we're too close to the school.
Oh, okay, too close. Okay, I apologize. I got this nice sun coming through my window. Okay. So within your family unit, it's just you and the children, is that correct?
Yes,
Are you currently dating anybody?
I am, yes.
And what is his name?
His name is Jacob.
And how long have you been in that relationship? What's your boyfriend's last name?
Golumbinski.
Okay, so how long have you and he been in a relationship?
We started seeing each other around the end of December, beginning of January. I would just see him when Jake had the kids on the weekends. I would just go over to his house and, we would go out.
Where does he live?
He lives in Bancroft, which is kind of over by Perry. It's about 45 minutes from my house.
And how did you meet him?
We had mutual friends.
Okay. And have you introduced him to Millie and Corbin?
Yes, they've recently been introduced to him. He also has 2 children about Corbin and Millie's age, and we've had play dates for the kids to play.
Okay. And he's divorced?
No, he's never married.
Okay. And does he have established parenting rights or what's his custodial arrangement with his children?
Yeah, him and his ex both have joint legal and physical custody of the children.
Okay. And how do they get along with him?
Really good.
Okay. And with his children?
Really good.
Okay. And does he stay in your house overnight when the children are there?
No, he don't.
Okay. Have you ever been arrested?
No, I have not.
Do you have any substance abuse issues?
No, I do not.
Okay. So we discussed earlier that your husband believes that you cheated and that was the reason for the breakdown in your marriage. Were there issues with jealousy in your marriage?
Yes, all the time.
Could you describe that?
Yes. About the fall of last year, we had gone to a mud bog. My sister
fall of 19 or fall of 18?
Fall of 19, I'm sorry. After we'd moved to Stockbridge.
Okay.
We'd gone to a mud bog. Jake's brother had come, his brother Brandon. My sister and her boyfriend had gone, and she had her gay friend Nick, and his boyfriend Nick was also there. After the mud bog, we went to the bar here in town that we live next to get food and drink. Jake and his brother was sitting at the table and everyone else was up at the bar. So I got up and I was over talking to my sister and her friends. And one of the gay guys, Nick, had smacked my butt. And Jake immediately jumped up, went over there, was going to, I'm assuming, hurt him, beat him up or something. And Jake was very upset. It was extremely embarrassing. Nick had kept apologizing. He's like, hey, I'm gay. I didn't mean anything by it. I didn't think that you would be upset. So we ended up leaving. Were there ever
any issues with his brothers?
Yes. Also with his brothers, from even the time we started dating, he would tell them they couldn't be without a shirt. They had a pool over there. Jake and I never swam in the pool. I wasn't allowed to be in the bathing suit and around them. nothing like that.
Okay. The court also has to consider the mental and physical health of the parents. Are you physically healthy?
Yes.
Any concerns? Are you on any kind of medication?
No, I just take medication for my thyroid, but that's it.
Okay. Are you mentally healthy?
Yes.
Now, the court had previously ordered that you and Jake attend conflict resolution counseling. You're aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, so after, that was actually recommended by Shelley.
Mm-hmm.
And did you agree that that was necessary?
Yes. After talking with Shelley and explaining some of the things that Jake and I have gone through over the years, it was my recommendation that Jake and I go to counseling and that Corbin go to counseling as well.
Okay. And so when you got the order from the court that you and Jake attend, what did you do?
Right after that, I called a healing place to get it set up. Gave them my information. I gave them Jake's information, his cell phone number, so they could get in contact with him. She said that they have to talk to Jake, and then someone from there will call us and let us know like how our schedule would go and what our availability is. I told them my availability was open. At the time, I wasn't going to school in person yet. This just started 2 weeks ago. So I had a completely open schedule, and it was just whenever Jake was available. And then they never got a hold of Jake.
Well, so did you discuss the counseling with Jake?
Yes.
And
I told him at the parent exchange that I had already contacted a healing place and gave them both of our information and that he had to call them as well. And he had told me that I tell them too much and that we don't need counseling, and he didn't want to do it.
Okay, so as our final pretrial approached, did you contact a healing place again?
Yes, I did.
And had they heard from Jake?
No, they had still not heard from Jake, which is why I asked them to type up a letter and for the court to let them know that I did my part for the counseling and that it was Jake who didn't want to attend.
And that's what has been admitted as Defendant's Exhibit A?
Yes.
Okay. Do you still feel that that counseling would be helpful?
I think that it would, yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that it's important for you and Jake to be able to co-parent your children?
Absolutely.
Okay. The court also has to consider the homeschool and community record of your children. So, Corbin, what did he do as far as schooling last year?
Corbin attended Stockbridge. There was a program called Great Start Readiness Program. It's funded by the state. I'd heard about it through a relative. I went online, signed Corbin up, filled out our application. Corbin was approved.
So let me stop you right there, Alexis. When was it that you did the application for him to go?
It was the summer of 2019. I don't recall like an exact date. And then I signed Corbin up for Stockbridge, and they emailed both Jake and I.
Okay. And so Corbin attended there last year.
Yes.
And what was the schedule?
Monday through Thursday, the schedule was 8:50 to 3:20. They provided all of his meals, and then that was it.
So you said it was a government program. Was there attendance required in order to keep his spot?
Yes, Corbin, it was based off attendance. So if Corbin wasn't going to attend regularly, he was going to be kicked out. So another student who would go could get the scholarship to go.
Okay.
So his attendance is really important.
So how did he do in the program?
Corbin loved it. He loved going to school. He made lots of friends. lots of field trips, holiday parties. He loved going. He's excited to go back to school this year.
Okay, and is he ready for kindergarten?
Yes, he is.
Okay. And were there conferences for the program?
There was one conference. The other one, since COVID, they didn't do a second conference for spring.
Okay, so did you attend that conference?
Yes, I did.
Did Jake attend?
No, he did not.
Okay. Were there any other school events or programs?
Yes, they had parent involvement night. There was 3 of those where we would go just with Corbin's class. The other parents were there. It was holiday themed. One for Thanksgiving, the children made chicken noodle soup and applesauce. They made it right there in class. The next time we built gingerbread houses. We decorated pumpkins for Halloween. And that was part of a field trip that I went to with him. We got to pick out the pumpkins there, and then we decorated them at the school.
So did Jake attend any of these programs there?
No.
Did you invite him or let him know what was going on?
Yes, Jake was always aware of the events at school.
Okay. Did Corbin have any extracurricular activities?
Yes, Corbin wanted to play basketball, so I signed him up for like a beginner's course. It was 4 weeks. It was on Tuesdays, 6:15 to 7:15.
So Tuesdays, whose parenting time would have been on Tuesday?
That was mine.
Okay. And so, I mean, he was he 5 yet?
Yeah, he just turned 5 in January. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was about February that it started.
Okay. And did you let Jake know about it?
Yes, I did.
And did he attend or go watch?
No, he didn't.
So do you have any, you touched briefly on Corbin's using hate, dumb, stupid. Do you have any other concerns regarding his behavior?
Yeah, he's gotten more aggressive. When he's angry, he now likes to hit. Usually it's whatever objects around him. And then he's gotten more aggressive with his sister, hitting her a lot more.
Okay, so what's your proposal as addressing that behavior?
That's why I recommended Corbin going to counseling to Shelley.
Okay, so what efforts have you?
So I took him to Lifeways. Per the court order, we sat down for probably about 2 hours for an intake appointment. She asked Corbin lots of questions, just kind of got to know him, see what he likes to do, anything he had to say. At the end of that appointment, she told me that they only accept Medicaid and that Corbin wouldn't be able to attend there, but she could refer us to someone else in the area, and that she would be happy to send over the report of her, thoughts and feelings of it.
So the children are covered under Jake's health insurance, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what is your proposal now for Corbin's to address the behavior?
So right now with COVID, it's hard to get Corbin in anywhere because they still want to do over the phone, and with a 5-year-old, he's not going to be interested. So until it's person to person, Corbin's not interested. I did find one lady who was in Brighton. She was self-pay. It was family oriented, so she wanted the parents to attend as well. I had brought it up to Jake, asked him if he wanted to attend. He said yes, and I told him that I would let him know that Friday. She ended up being too much. She didn't accept any insurance. It was just self-pay, and I couldn't afford her to take Corbin there. So the plan now is to wait and see with COVID what we do, or wait for a healing place to open up.
Okay, so you would like Corbin to go to a healing place for counseling?
Yes, he still needs counseling, yes.
And so has the Healing Place given you instructions? Or are you going to need a specific court order that says that Corbin attend counseling there?
Yes, the last time I left Shelley's office, we spoke about Corbin's therapy again, and Shelley told me that she thought Gala had opened up. After I left, I called the Healing Place. They told me that without Jake's permission, they still could not have Corbin there, even though there was a court order saying that he was supposed to receive some type of therapy. It still had to be with Jake's permission, and that they were still doing video conferencing as well.
Okay. So you would like him to get in-person counseling?
Yeah, I think that's really the only way he's going to pay attention and sit down.
Okay. Other than that, I mean, how has Corbin, how's his behavior in school?
He did fine in school. There was a few times he had a few issues in the beginning when they first started going back to Jake's. Corbin had come back to the school and told them I was pregnant. So when I picked Corbin up, his teacher asked me about it, and I was like, I was so embarrassed. I could not believe my son had said that. But I knew it had come from Jake's Facebook. He had posted something about me being pregnant on his Facebook, so I knew he had heard it from his dad.
Okay. What about Millie? Any concerns with her behavior?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I apologize. I had myself on mute because I didn't want any feedback. I have an objection to that last response. That's speculation to where or why Corbin thought she was pregnant.
Your objections noted.
Thank you, Judge.
So Alexis, did Jake post on his Facebook that you were pregnant?
Yes, he did.
Are you pregnant?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Were you pregnant?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any concerns with Millie's behavior other than the toileting issues?
No.
Okay. So what's your plan or what's your proposal for school for next year for your children?
So Stockbridge at first is doing all online for the first, I think it's the first 3 or 4 weeks. I would have to double check the dates. And then after that, the kids are doing hybrid. So they go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I believe. And then the other 2 days are used for cleaning. Corbin is still enrolled in Kids Club for before and after school care if I need it. And Millie, they have a program there for her for 3-year-olds. It's called Curious Cubs. It's directly across from Corbin's hallway. She would go there 9 to noon, 2 days a week. And then if I needed care the other days, she will be enrolled in Kids Club as well.
Okay. And what in the elementary school, what grades are contained in that building?
Kindergarten group 2, I believe, is just 2nd grade.
So they would be together. And when they're in school, are the children required to wear masks?
No, not at that age. They are not.
Okay. And so with your school requirements, are you able to get the kids back and forth to school?
Yes.
And if you can't, who would?
If at any point I needed any help beyond Kids Club, Corbin and Millie can come to my grandma's. Corbin would love to ride the bus, and then my grandma can pick up and drop off, or my aunt and uncle.
Okay. So you've heard Jake's proposal that the children attend school in Grass Lake.
Yes.
Okay. What's your response to that?
It makes me a little bit upset for the fact that I know Corbin has expressed to me multiple times that he does want to go back to his school. He has friends there. There is a school police officer. Corbin's very familiar with Officer Marshall. The principal is my old computer teacher, and Corbin absolutely loves him. The secretary is my cousin. The girl that works in kids club is my aunt and uncle's best friend's daughter. So Corbin's very familiar with her. It's comfortable for him to go there, and he's already made friends, and his teachers, they're so good to be in the same hallway. So he's comfortable there. It's a smaller school. It's not as many kids either.
So by car, how long does it take you to get from your home to the elementary school there in Stockbridge?
Maybe 3 minutes.
Okay. So do you have any connection to Grass Lake schools?
No, I don't.
To your knowledge, does Jake have any connection to those schools?
Not him personally, no.
He didn't attend school there?
No, he didn't.
Okay. Do you know how long it would take for you to get from your home to Grass Lake Elementary?
Yes, it's 23 minutes from my house to the elementary school.
And does that require you getting on the highway?
No, no highway.
Okay. And do you have concerns with your vehicle and making that trip back and forth during the winter?
Yes, just last winter, my engine blew. No one was doing any oil changes on it apparently. So the engine blew. My grandma had to have it repaired.
What do you drive?
I have a 2012 Chevy Equinox.
How many miles does it have on it?
It now has about 130,000.
Okay. So Jake's proposal included getting the children to school or daycare before he had to go to work at 7 o'clock. Do you have any concerns with that proposal?
Yes, that's just a really long day for a 5 and 3-year-old to be up that early, and then Corbin having to go to school for 6-7 hours and then back to daycare before they're picked up. That's exhausting. I mean, that sounds exhausting to me.
Okay, and Jake also proposes using Elena's playhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about an incident where Corbin was injured there. Could you describe that for the court, and can you tell the court when it was?
Yeah. So this was in 2018. Corbin was hurt May 28th. I received a text. Jake and I had been separated. I received a text from Jake while I was at work saying that he was on the way to pick up Corbin and that Corbin was hurt at daycare and he needed to go to the ER. Immediately, I texted my manager, I have to go. My son is going to the hospital. Met Jake there. Corbin had a pretty big gash in his forehead. You could see his skull. He required 11 stitches. 5 were internally to sew up the inside, and he had 6 on the outside. After I texted Tammy asking, what happened,
Tammy is who?
Tammy is the daycare owner.
Okay.
Texted her to find out what happened. Another child, there was a plastic, it was about this big, tennis racket, and the kid threw it at Corbin's head. And that resulted in 11 stitches.
Okay. And so when the incident happened, did you receive any notification directly from the childcare?
No, I did not. She only contacted Jake.
Okay. And is that daycare, was it a licensed daycare?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, was there ever any report made regarding the injury?
No, I never received a report, and neither did Jake. Jake and I got back shortly right after that within days, Jake and I were back together. There was never a report given to either one of us.
Okay. And it was your husband's testimony that you continued to use that childcare provider after the injury. Could you address that, please?
Yes. So after Jake and I had split again, he was using Elena's. We were doing a 2-2-3 schedule again. So after I was leaving work at Neuro Restorative in Ann Arbor, I was driving to Jackson to pick up the children on my days and then back to Stockbridge. I didn't want to disrupt the kids' schedule any more than, that was their routine. They were used to going. So I kept it that way until Corbin started school. Then we didn't use Elena's anymore after we moved to Stockbridge.
Okay, so what is your position as far as Jake using her again in the future?
I think it's I don't want the kids to go. Tammy is a family friend to them. She's talked horribly about me on Facebook. It's uncomfortable. I want the kids to go to more of a learning center. They're kind of getting older now that they don't just need daycare. They don't just need someone to watch them. They need to be learning, which is why I did get the job at KinderCare and I had Millie attend there with me. She learned all kinds of stuff there.
So, and as far as the hours, I mean, are you concerned about the length of time that they would be in childcare with Jake versus if they were home with you?
Yeah, they would be there pretty much open to close.
Okay. Now, Jake has said that he doesn't believe that Millie needs to go to preschool this year. What's your response to that?
Millie wants to go. We went and picked out a backpack already for Corbin. Millie got one as well. She has a lunch bag with it, even though she won't use it, but she wants to go. She loved, when I was working with Corbin from home after the school shut down, I had to get books and stuff for her. She already knows her ABCs. She can already count to 10. She knows her colors, and all that is just from Corbin already going to school.
Okay. As far as the children's preferences to custody, how do you feel? You're okay if judge wants to interview them?
Absolutely.
The court has to consider each of your willingness and ability to facilitate and encourage the children's relationship with the other parent. So, have you encouraged the children's relationship with their dad?
Absolutely.
Can you describe for the court how you've done so?
There's been multiple times Corbin cries. He will hide when he doesn't want to go to his dad's. Lots of crying. One of the times Corbin was hiding underneath his bed. He had a loft bed that we had bought him. So there was lots of space underneath, and Corbin was hiding underneath there. I had started recording just so, for court-related purposes, so they can see what's going on with Corbin when he has to go to his dad's. So he was hiding underneath the bed and didn't want to go. When I asked him why, he said that his dad's mean to him and that
Hang on.
he doesn't like to go over there. So
You didn't say what Corbin said. So
okay.
So he was hiding. He didn't want to go. So what was your response to your son?
That, he's going to have fun at his dad's. And then I told him how many days until he comes back to my house. Eventually got him calmed down to where he would walk to the car for us to be able to go.
So have you followed the parenting time order since it's been in place?
Absolutely.
Okay. And what about calling, having the children call, or Jake calling the children?
When I have the children, Jake never texts about them. He never calls. We did call him on his birthday.
Which was
That's
when?
really November 14th.
Okay, you had the children call. Any other
Yep, they called.
times?
When Millie was sick as well, she wanted to call and talk to her dad, and we did.
Okay. What about Father's Day?
Father's Day, he had them until he dropped them off about 8:30.
Okay, so did the children do anything for their dad for Father's Day?
Yes, we bought Jake. Jake's dog had died. It was the dog we'd had while we were together. I think Zeke was only about a year old when the dog had passed away while we were separated. I was on Etsy, which is like a website for people that make crafts and stuff. And we were scrolling. Corbin was sitting there with me looking at my phone, and we saw this plaque, and it was for a dog that had passed away. And Corbin said, "Mom, can we get that for Dad?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And Corbin talks about Zeke all the time. He tells me often that he misses Zeke. And I thought, that would be a good idea to have a picture of him in the house. So if Corbin was ever upset over there, maybe if he wanted to sleep with it or keep it in his room, something like that. So we did get that for Jake. And then he also got a keychain of Zeke's picture as well for Father's Day.
So you had the children take that with them when they went to see Jake?
On Father's Day, Jake picked up from the kids from my house. He came in. I told him that we had a gift for him. He came into the house and opened it in the kitchen. He hung out for just a little bit. He said thank you. He gave me a hug. And then later that night, he told me that he was in trouble because Harmony didn't understand why I would buy him a Father's Day gift when we're supposed to hate each other. I told him, we're supposed to be co-parenting, that no matter what, I'm still his kids' mom, and there's no reason for us to be fighting. And I've expressed to him multiple times, like, I would love to meet Harmony. I want to know who my children are around. I think it would help, if she knew who I was.
So Jake and Harmony are expecting a baby.
Yeah.
And Millie and Corbin are excited.
Yeah, they really are.
Okay, and do you encourage them and support them? You want them to have a good relationship with the new baby?
Yes, we've gone through the clothes. There was a few outfits, brand new still, that Millie hadn't worn, that we've picked out, that Millie and Corbin would like to give to the baby. We've talked about, how to care for the baby and how we have to be quiet and, just different things of that nature. They're excited for the baby.
Okay. When the kids are with you, how do you speak about their father?
We don't ever talk about Jake unless the kids ask me a question. Jake's never brought up.
Okay, but are you critical of Jake?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Would you allow others in the children's presence to be critical of Jake?
No, absolutely not.
So how does Jake treat you?
Jake and we don't get along. Jake does not talk nicely to me. He does not treat me nicely. There's no getting along right now.
Would you agree that there are probably times when you haven't communicated with him at your best?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the way that the two of you text with each other, would you ever speak like that to him in person in front of your children?
No, I have never spoke like that in front of my children to him.
Okay. And so do you have the exhibits?
Yeah.
There in front of you? Okay. Can you go to Exhibit I?
Okay.
Okay. So can you tell the court what this exchange was about?
Yeah, so this was my first weekend of the month of parenting time. Millie had been coming to 100, 101 degrees. So she had the Sunday before and had been sick, and I would have to take off work. So at this time, Millie was sick again and throwing up, and I decided that I was going to take her to the ER because I knew something was wrong. She can't just keep throwing up. Sorry, I'm plugging in my phone.
I'm sorry?
I said, sorry, I had to plug in my phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't want to lose
Okay.
you. Okay. So you asked Jake for the insurance card?
So, I some for the insurance cards. Yes. Full
I'm-
copy yet. He had asked, there was one over on North. Okay.
I'm sorry, I totally didn't hear any of that. I don't think Brian did either.
So there was a Med Express that we've been to before with the children, so I knew they already had the information that I was going to take her to. It was a $60 copay. I'd asked Jake for the money. To take her instead, since I didn't have the copay, and then I could deal with the bill later. I had both Corbin and Millie with me. We were there for probably about 5 hours altogether. And that's when they diagnosed Millie with influenza B.
Okay, but did Jake believe that she was sick?
No, he told me it was.
I'm sorry?
He said that it was stress.
Or separation sickness? Is that what issues?
Oh, yes, it was. She's sick with separation issues. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so he didn't believe it. Okay, so the next exhibit, Exhibit K, do you have them physically in front of you, Alexis?
No, I have them pulled up on a PDF file on the computer. So let me see.
Okay. Are you able to pull that up?
Yes.
So in Exhibit K, you asked Jake about the medication.
Yes.
And what was his response?
Okay, I don't have K. I don't have K. All I have is I.
Did he believe that Corbin was sick?
No, he didn't believe either one of them were sick.
Okay. Do you have Exhibit L?
Yes. Let me scroll up. Okay.
Okay, Exhibit L. These are texts between you and Jake?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and you asked that the kids call you?
Yes.
Did he have them call you?
No, I've never once been able to speak to my kids since we've been separated while he's had them.
And did he accuse you of bringing somebody with you that Sunday for the parenting time exchange?
Yes, he did. There was actually 2 other vehicles there that night. I was parked between both of them. There was several spaces in between both of us.
And where was this, where do you, when you pick the kids up from him, where's the exchange?
At the Michigan State Police in Jackson.
Okay. And were either of those vehicles on either side of you? Were they with you?
No, I did not know who either one of them were.
Okay, but he didn't believe you.
Right, yeah, no, the vehicle he's talking about was a minivan. I don't know anybody that drives a minivan except Jake had drove one before. That I don't know anybody else that drives a minivan, and I didn't know who those people were.
Okay. So the next exhibit, Exhibit M.
Yes.
So this is an exchange because there was a snow day?
Yes, this was a Wednesday. We had a really bad snowstorm. So I had texted Jake asking him basically if I could just keep them and not have to get the kids out twice that night, for him coming to pick them up and then for me having to go and pick them up again that night. He declined. He wanted to still come pick the kids up. So then later I texted him and said, they should just stay the night with you. The weather is still getting bad, and I didn't want to risk having the kids out that late at night with the weather the way it still was.
So
he did. He kept them overnight.
Well, he kept them then just till Sunday then, right? Because Thursday would have been his.
Yes, and there was no school. They'd called a snow day.
So then the next page, did he complain about boots and his child support?
Yes.
So what was going on? What was the issue?
He texted me saying, he's tired of paying child support and that if I can't raise them on my own, then to give them to him. And then he asked for his boots back. I did have the boots at my house, and Jake did get them the next time he picked up the kids.
Okay. Next exhibit, Exhibit N.
Okay.
We have that? Okay, so
Yeah.
text between you and Jake in April.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you asked to talk to the kids. Were you ever able to talk to the kids?
No, I've never been able to talk to the kids.
All right, so he in April is talking about, remember, you kept them for me for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So can you address those 6 weeks?
Yeah, so when Jake and I first split and we're going through the divorce, Jake and I were doing a 2-2.
The instant divorce here in Jackson.
Yes, this current divorce, we were doing a 2-2-3 schedule.
Was there a court order? Was there a court order?
No, there was no court order yet. We still had not been to see the mediator yet.
The conciliator?
The conciliator, yes.
Okay.
So Jake and I just came up with the 2-2-3 schedule together. At first, Jake on his days was having his now sister-in-law bring the children back to my grandma's in the morning. She was getting them ready for school.
Grandma was?
Corbin would ride the bus. Yep, at my grandma's. And then she kept Millie. At the time, I was working for a different daycare in Chelsea. I had split hours, so I went in 6 to 8, and then I came back to my grandma's, picked up Millie, and then I had to go back 2:30 to 6, and then at that time they would go back to my grandma's. So I was home during the day with Millie. On October 1st, Corbin had finally missed his 3rd day of school while he was with Jake. My grandma and I went to Elena's daycare, picked
Well,
up the
let me-
children.
So he didn't, on Jake's date, did he bring him back to grandma so he could go to school in Stockbridge?
Yes, he was doing that some of the time. But Corbin had finally missed 3 days of school, and it was based on attendance. So on October 1st, I went and picked the children up because Corbin had school that day. And I took Corbin to school. They were both really dirty. They had to be washed first and bathed. Corbin went to school, so he only had a half day that day. And then from there on out, I told Jake that he just wasn't being responsible, and that until we saw the conciliator to get a court order for custody, he just couldn't have them.
Okay, and when did we go to conciliation?
October 20, well, he went the 28th, we went the 30th.
Okay, and did we attempt to come up with some kind of parenting time for Jake in the meantime?
Yes, we did.
And he was represented by Mr. Hotchkiss then?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And once there was a court order, a recommendation from the friend of the court, did you comply?
Yes.
And that recommendation was what regarding school for Corbin?
Corbin stays in Stockbridge schools.
Okay. So in April, Jake was still upset about that.
Yes.
And your other requests, Exhibit O, you weren't able to talk to the kids.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Can you look at Exhibit P?
Okay.
Were you tagged in Jake's Facebook post?
Yeah, I was.
Did you ever get Jake's $1,200 stimulus money?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
And what was your response to being called out on Facebook?
Bless you.
Thank you.
I had told Jake in the email to ask Ken, because to my understanding, if you were behind on child support, they weren't giving you a $1,200 stimulus check. And so I wanted him to confirm that with his lawyer, so that way he would know I wasn't lying. I only received myself and the 2 kids.
Okay. And did you ask him to communicate via email after that?
Yes.
Okay. Was there ever a time when Jake did not use all of his parenting time as provided by the court order?
Yes, multiple times he didn't pick the kids up on Wednesdays, or he would only pick up one child. He's done that before. On February 5th.
What kind of day was that?
That was a Wednesday.
Okay.
Our court order said very boldly, each and every Wednesday belongs to the plaintiff. And I didn't know Millie hadn't been picked up yet. She's not in my classroom. I got a call.
I'm sorry, in your classroom, you were working where?
This was for KinderCare.
Okay.
So Millie was in a separate classroom. I had a younger school age for that I was teaching.
Okay.
So I wasn't aware Millie hadn't been picked up yet. We closed about 6 and then we had to clean. So I had checked my phone. I seen that the school had called multiple times, left voicemails. Corbin School in Stockbridge, okay. That they had called multiple times. I also had calls from my grandma and from my Aunt Casey The last text that I read, my aunt had picked Corbin up from school because he had been left there. He wasn't picked up until 6:30. I got an additional bill for that because after 6, it's $1 a minute. So Corbin was so upset. He was terrified. He was crying, very upset. And for the rest of that week, Corbin would not go to Kids Club because he was afraid he wasn't going to get picked up.
And so he was left there because why?
Because Jake never picked them up.
Okay, and did he communicate to you that he wasn't going to exercise his parenting time that evening?
No, he did not tell me.
Okay, and what did Jake ever communicate about that evening with you?
The next day at 1:09 p.m., Jake texted me asking why he got a call from the school saying that Corbin had not been picked up. And then the next text was that I had the first Wednesday of the week, like I was entitled to the first week. I didn't reply to Jake. I let him believe that. That's fine. If he's not capable of reading the court order, I would take more time with my kids. So I just started taking the first Wednesday of the week then.
Okay.
I don't understand what first Wednesday of the week means.
So the first weekend of the month was mine. Jake had the other 3 weekends of the month. So every Wednesday he was entitled to, but the first weekend that was mine, Jake, after that point, I assume thought, I'm not really sure what he thought, but he didn't pick them up. So I had the first full week. So the kids didn't see him for 10 days until the following Wednesday when it was his parenting time again.
So what you meant to say was first Wednesday of the month.
Yes, first Wednesday of the month. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Excuse me.
I guess I need more coffee too. I didn't. Okay. So in addition to the text and on Facebook, how does Jake speak to you in front of your kid?
Jake always has something to say to me. He's always cussing at me. That's why I changed our pickup locations to the police station to make myself feel more comfortable in order to meet him.
Okay, so as recently on a couple, I guess it would be 2 weeks ago, on Monday, July 27th, you and he had both met with Shelley. Is that correct? Previous to the exchange on Monday.
I'm sorry.
So 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would have both met with Shelley in preparation for trial?
Yes, my grandma and I did. Yes, we met with Shelley.
Okay, so you and grandma met Shelley. So then that evening, you did a parenting time exchange with Jake, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
did Jake discuss that or discuss the case in front of the children with you? Did he admonish you at all for speaking to Shelley?
Yes, he had told me that I say too much to Shelley. He was upset again about the counseling. There was other things that exchanged, but really the only thing I remember mostly is that he took Corbin's shorts off him and left him in his underwear in the parking lot, because those were Jake's shorts that Corbin was wearing.
And did Corbin react to that at all?
Yeah, he was upset. I recorded it to just show, what had happened. Jake became upset with me because when I got Millie out of the truck, I seen a pair of Corbin's basketball shorts, which is usually what I exchange Corbin in, that were laying on the floorboard of his truck. They were wet. I picked them up and I said, "Oh, hey, these are mine. I'm just going to take them with me." Jake got so upset. Corbin came back around the side of my car and he took Corbin's shorts off him. He was like, "Yeah, well, these are mine." And Corbin was just standing in the parking lot of the police station in his underwear.
The court also has to consider any domestic violence, whether or not the children have been exposed to that or witnessed it. So Jake had testified last time about an incident in June of 2019.
Yes.
You recall that?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the court what happened?
So I was at home with the children in Stockbridge. Jake had been off working on his mud truck, mud jam or something like that. It was a big thing in Fowlerville at the fairgrounds was happening that weekend. So he was prepping. Jake came home about 10:30. The kids were in bed. I was out on the front porch of the house. I was on the phone. He walked up, demanded to know who I was talking to. It was extremely rude. I ignored him. He went into the house. I don't know what he was doing. He came back out again, wanted to know who I was talking to, tried to grab the phone from me. I stood up, I walked to the end of the driveway and I was finishing my conversation. He followed me, kept badgering me, wanted to know who I was talking to. I just completely ignored him. I was already talking to somebody, wasn't engaging in conversation with Jake. Jake did try to grab the phone from me while I was still holding it. My arm was being twisted every which way. He was pushing me, he was clawing at me, trying to grab the phone from me. I ran from him, got into my car, and I locked the doors to hide from him. He went in the house. I got off the phone, waited about 20 minutes before I went inside. When I did go inside, Jake and I continued to argue. He shoved me down on the bed. He threw the lamp on top of me. The lamp broke. I got up from there. The children are now awake because he's arguing and yelling at me. Corbin is crying. I grabbed Millie. We both went into Corbin's room. The doors like locked, but there was a key above just in case we ever got locked out. So he had unlocked the door and he had kicked it in, causing damage to Corbin's door and the wall behind it. Corbin was yelling at his dad, just leave my mom alone. I finally got the situation calmed down. Jake went and slept on the couch. I slept in Corbin's room on the floor. And the next day when we woke up, Jake was gone.
So how was your arm injured?
Yes, I was in a lot of pain. I came out to my grandma's with the children. I couldn't move my arm without having a ton of pain to it. I'd gone to the Chelsea hospital. I made a report, told them that I had been in an altercation with my husband and that I just wanted to make sure nothing was broken. I didn't want any legal action. They'd called the cops anyways. Kevin Marshall, the school officer, is the one that took the report. My arm was very swollen. I was put in an air cast, like a sling. They gave me pain medications. I did not take them. I don't take I don't take any medicine of any sort unless like I have to. I just dealt with the pain and then used the cast, the arm sling, and that was that.
Okay, so a police report was made, not because you called the police, but because you went to the ER.
Correct.
And that would be Defendant's Exhibit E?
Yes.
Okay. So to the best of your knowledge, was Jake then later charged?
Yes, it was, I want to say probably 8 to 10 weeks later. It took them a long time to come up with a case. Kevin stopped by our house multiple times after that. That's why Corbin was so familiar with Kevin before starting school. Yes, Kevin Marshall, the officer.
Okay.
He'd stop by lots of times and, to check on us, see how things were going, make sure the kids were okay.
Okay. And then, so was he arrested in 8 to 10 weeks later?
Yes, Jake was arrested.
Okay, and what was he charged?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. And so whatever became of those charges?
That night, Jake and I had ended up reconciling again at that point.
You talk about,
we had,
talk about June?
yeah, so from the time that the domestic happened until he was arrested, Jake had come back to the house. He was, I had gone down to working part-time, so he was our money, our our income at the time. So he was arrested. The next day he was bailed out of jail. I picked him up, brought him back to the house, asked him, what happened. He told me that there was a no contact order. After that, I know he had court again, but when I asked him about it, he said it was to plead guilty or not guilty. He told me he was going to plead guilty and just take his time and get it over with and get it behind us. We had enrolled in couples counseling during that time period. Jake never attended with me though, so I just went by myself. And then
Did you ever?
I never received a subpoena. I'm sorry. Yeah, I never received a subpoena in the mail. I didn't know when I was supposed to be there, what time. I didn't know any other information. I never spoke to anybody else about the domestic again. Nothing was ever brought up again about it.
So did you ever speak with anybody from the prosecutor's office?
No, I didn't.
So did you ever say you wanted the charges against him dropped?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So, was there an incident in September of 2019?
Yeah, September 8th of 2019.
So can you describe for the court what happened then?
Yes. So the night before, I had gone out with a friend. Corbin had stayed over at my aunt and uncle's, and Millie was with my dad. Jake and his friend had gone out as well. We ran into each other at the bar in Jackson. Jake and I had been fighting, so I didn't want to be around him. I didn't want to see him. Me and my friend left. I slept in Corbin's bed that night. The kids both stayed overnight with my dad and then my aunt and uncle, so Jake and I were there by ourselves. I slept in Corbin's room. The next morning when I woke up, Jake wasn't there. I went and picked up my friend that I was out with the night before, and she was back at my house. We were just hanging out at the house, and I had gone to my dad's to pick up Millie. Like I was going to go pick up the kids now. And when I got to my dad's, Jake was there. We'd began arguing over what I don't recall anymore. And then I'd gone over to pick up Corbin from my aunt and uncle's, and we all went back home. Corbin actually ended up staying with Jake. She wanted to go with Jake, and Corbin was going to stay a little bit longer at my aunt and uncle. So just me and my friend returned back to the house. Jake came back there. He pulled up right in the front yard, drove like right in the yard, got out of the truck. The first thing he did when he walked in, he came in through the garage, which was into the living room was where you came into. And directly to the right through the little doorway is our kitchen, which when you first walk in, there's a big circle wooden table. I was standing in the kitchen. This is all an open concept of the living room and the kitchen. It's just open. That's how we decided to remodel it. Jake was automatically yelling, accusing me of doing things, all the sorts. There's cussing, everything else. The first thing he did when he walked in, I'm sorry.
Was Millie there?
No, Millie was still at my dad's house. I believe, unless she was in the truck. I never physically saw her, so I don't know for sure where she was at.
Okay.
The first thing he did was grab the chair and threw it up at the ceiling. There was 2 holes in the wall from that. He grabbed a giraffe figurine that he got me for my first Mother's Day. My favorite animal was giraffe, so he got me that. It's like a mother and like a little baby giraffe. And he threw it, and there's a hole in the wall behind that. He threw the table at my friend. So the table was broken as well, and the chair was broken. The bar stools got broken because he threw those. I had the electric griddle out, and he threw that. It broke the island counter. There's a chip taken out of that. And then there is a dent in the kitchen cabinet as well from where the griddle landed. I immediately told my friend to call 911 as he was doing all this. Jake took off, left. And when the cops showed up, they took pictures of the damage and took our statements about what happened.
So a report was taken then, and that's defendant's exhibit F.
Yes.
Okay. And did you take pictures of the house?
Yes, I did.
So do you have defendant's exhibit G?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a couple pictures. Can you look at the first one?
Counsel, can you give me just a second? I'm
Sure.
gonna pull these up.
Okay.
I printed them, but our printer prints in black and white, and I
Oh.
recall these being color images. I want to see the color images. It'll take me a moment to find that.
Want me to email to you, Judge?
I know I've got the email. I just have to search for it. Okay, I've got it. You may go ahead, Counsel.
Okay. So Alexis, the first picture,
Yes.
could you describe where it is and what it is?
So just to the right, you can see the washer and dryer. That
Right.
is where you come in to the garage. And this is the wall where he threw the giraffe figurine. That is the bottom of it. The giraffe figurine also broke, but I super glued it together because I absolutely love it. It's my favorite thing ever. And then also to the right of this is where the kitchen table would have sat. So you're walking into my kitchen here. So this is
So-
actually the living room wall is where the hole is. That's where he threw the giraffe figurine.
Okay. So the next picture,
The next picture. So this is the damage to the kitchen island, which is actually upside down. So the scrape is, the bar stools would have
Oh.
sat right in front of this. Yeah, the picture's upside down. That's
that makes
okay.
more sense.
Yeah, so this is the kitchen island. You can see like the fridge and the stove are behind it.
I'm sorry, that's my fault. I submitted it.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, that was, that's.
So that's the damage to the kitchen island from the griddle being thrown.
Okay. So the next picture, is that the blue picture?
Yeah, so this is Corbin's room. The circle is from Jake kicking the door in, and the lock on the handle went through the drywall. There was a door stopper also there that was broken off. I mean, it went and it put a hole at the bottom of the door from the door stop. I mean, the door went completely when he kicked it in.
Were you in the room when he kicked it in?
Yes, me and the children both were.
So he kicked that door in to get to you.
Yes.
Okay, so the next picture.
So that's the damage from the door stop. From him shoving it open.
Okay. And then the next picture.
This is the damages to my closet doors. We both had a double closet. That's the damage where he punched the closet.
Okay,
And you can see like there's little dirt prints from his hands being dirty after working on the mud truck. There's a little bit of some dirt marks on there as well from that.
Okay. And then the next picture.
This is more damage done to Corbin's door. I don't know exactly how those marks got there. So I can't exactly explain how those ones got there, but that's Corbin's door.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, that's the closet door. I'm sorry, that's the other closet door in the bedroom.
Okay.
I'm sorry, just as I scroll down further, I seen.
So the last picture.
So that is my bedroom door. So this is what you see when the door's closed from the hallway. He'd punch that as well.
Okay. And so all of this happened during the incidents both in June and in September?
Yes.
Okay. And before you moved into the house, had it been completely remodeled and painted
Yeah, everything was brand new in the house. Everything.
when you moved in April of 2019?
Yes.
Okay. So Jake is proposing that you and he have joint physical custody. Well, let's first talk about joint legal custody.
Okay.
So other than the decision about where the kids should attend school, which is you would like them to go to Stockbridge,
Correct.
other than that decision, do you think that you and Jake can make important decisions regarding their health and welfare?
I mean, it makes it hard too because we clearly have different ideas of what the kids need. So like when they were sick, you know, he just kept telling me, "Oh, she's fine, let her sleep." She ended up having influenza B. Corbin was sick. He just kept telling me, he's like, "Oh, he's fine. He just has a bad cough." Well, that bad cough ended up being a sinus infection. Or like Millie going to school. She would absolutely love to go to school. It's a great introduction, getting her used to, you know, another routine, part of growing up. She would love it. I think there's no reason why she shouldn't be able to go. Also with Corbin's counseling, it's very clear that Corbin is an upset child at 5 years old, and that's scary, you know, and hurtful. So just things like that he just doesn't agree on, just it baffles me. I just don't understand how, you know, you wouldn't want better for your kids. And that's what I'm trying to do for them.
Okay. He's proposing that you have joint physical custody.
Yeah. I don't see how that works with us living so far apart. We were living in Stockbridge and he didn't want to live there anymore. You know, we separated. He moved back to Jackson. You know, Jake was given a chance to still have 50-50 custody, and he just couldn't hold up on his end of the bargain anymore.
You talking about this summer?
Yes. Well, I mean, last fall when Corbin was going to school, you have to take him to school. It was court ordered. Corbin still go to Stockbridge, and there was issues with that. So it makes me hard to have any belief that he's still going to be able to do these things, and I'm going to have to pick up more of the slack because he can't do them.
So what would you like the court to do regarding custody?
I would like to have legal custody. I think if Jake and I still did the counseling and got over some of these issues that we've been having, maybe there's a chance for us to have legal custody. I want my kids to go to Stockbridge. Absolutely. I mean, I live right there. It's convenient. They've already gone there before. But since those are things that we can't agree on, I I'm still open to having legal custody with Jake as long as the kids are going to Stockbridge and that's where they continue to go.
Okay, and if the court orders you to attend conflict resolution counseling, will you go?
Yeah.
Will you give it your best effort?
Absolutely.
What about physical custody of your children?
Physical custody I would like to have still. I've told Jake before he could have every other weekend and we could do week on, week off in the summer. Or, I mean, if we can't get along, then we just follow the handbook.
Okay. And as far as the exchange times for the weekend, what are you proposing?
So I said Jake he could still pick them up from school on Friday or by 5 o'clock. And then Sunday they would need to be returned by 5. So that
Okay.
way I know that they've eaten a good meal and that they've been bathed and that they're ready for school the next day.
Okay, and what about transportation and exchange locations?
Still meeting at the police station.
So at the beginning of his parenting time, where have you been meeting?
In the beginning, Jake and I were meeting at Mug and Bops.
No, I'm talking now, at the beginning of his parenting time. the
Oh, I'm
beginning-
sorry. If it's Jake's parenting time, we meet at the Stockbridge Police Station. And when it's my parenting time, we meet at the Michigan State Police Station.
And you would like that to continue?
Yes.
And for holidays and school vacations, you would like to follow the Jackson County Front of the Court handbook?
Yes.
Okay. And we've addressed the consumers and the Verizon and the taxes. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the court?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. I don't have anything further.
All right, let's take about a 10-minute break here. Let's try to resume at 10 after 11.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.